for men and women are pretty preventable if our lifestyles were a little bit different, if we ate better, if we didn't smoke, if we exercised more often, if we avoided fatty foods, if we avoided obesity. These are things that a lot of the deaths in males in particular are attributed to. Heart disease is something that's been on the decline for the last 25, 30 years. That's significant, but still men are lagging behind women as far as the number of heart disease. In fact, 40% of men will die during their first heart attack. They probably had a warning sign, they probably rationalized it, and they probably didn't do anything about it. Next slide. Obesity, we've done a great job. The number of obese men in the United States now is 30%. Next slide. This is very interesting. This is Forbes magazine. Every year they publish the deadliest jobs in America. Kind of interesting, kind of fun in a way, but this is really bad. We tend to take a lot of risks, and some of that can be attributed certainly to the industry and protections against harmful problems related to the work
deadliest job.
Logging, for instance.
How can I see
even people who work on sanitation workers. If you look at the lower left-hand screen part of the screen here, there's a gentleman up on a roof there with no harness or anything. I thought that this was interesting until I saw it across the street from my own house. This is a picture I took out of my window. And if you look at, and there's a little circle that I just hit the advance button. There's a little guy up there on his roof. What he's doing on his roof, fixing a tile, we shouldn't be doing that. There's no harness. There's no protection against falling. And men fall, and roofing is actually one of the deadliest jobs out there. Next slide, please. Next slide. Suicide, unfortunately, has reached terrible proportions now. 45,000 people in America die from suicide each year. 3 to 1 men commit suicide over women. And actually, we spoke forward a little bit too quickly there, but the numbers are on the rise at this point in every single state in the United States, with the exception of Nevada. This is a very sad situation here. Suicide, and most of these people don't have the history of mental illness that we know about. A lot of them are veterans. I just went to a veteran meeting, and actually this is a very big problem for veterans coming back and arriving to the stores and looking for someone else. Next time. I put this up because I used to think that suicide was really a problem for people in middle age, but we're talking the majority of suicides are actually performed by men 75 and older. Next one. This is a very interesting concept that was sponsored by some of the leading male grooming products, Unilever, Axe, and Mundo. And they did some surveys. Men are 3 to 6 times more likely to make unwanted sexual comments about women. 3 to 7 times more likely to use physical violence. 2 times as likely to have suicidal thoughts. And 2 to 4 times as likely having refraining from some activities as it may feel, it makes them appear gay in the United States and the United Kingdom. They call this the man box, and I think it's a very interesting concept. I think that there's got to be a lot more work that we do on this, but raising our kids in a way that they're not in a man box is something that is very desirable and much needed. Next slide. All the data that I just presented to you was very interesting data, but this hits home. This is a study that I did with a medical student here at the University of Miami. We worked with the Public Health Department, the state of Florida. We developed a state of Florida men's health report. We found, again, every single item on that list that I showed you before related to the CDC's data applies to the Floridians as well. In Florida, we have 49% of the population is male. There's about a 5-year life expectancy gap between men and women. Next slide. If if you go down the list, in men who are 18 to 34 years old, 50% of the deaths are attributable to accidental injuries. That is really telling. Those are young men. And people who are,
Doesn't
34,
work.
35 to 54 also.
When I
Homicide
press
is
join a
very big.
meeting, it doesn't
A
work.
very big cause of death in these groups too, as well as suicide. So I think that with this data in mind, we need to go to our schools and education
And I
system.
haven't recorded when he came, the exact same slide.
How to avoid these accidental injuries, how to live healthier lifestyles.
I know it's mine, because I'll bust your name,
This will
you
save a lot of
know.
lives each year. Next slide, please. We tend not to wear seatbelts. We tend to smoke. We tend to vape. A lot of us are sedentary, and there's still a tremendous number of people who are abusing alcohol. Next slide. This is all data that we got from the Public Health Department in the state of Florida, which is fantastic. And eventually, we will hopefully, once this is published, we'll be able to go to the state and say, this is the data. We need to work on this. Next slide, please. So again, we talked about cancer screenings. 30% of men have never had a colonoscopy in the age group over 50. And 40% of men over 50 have never had a PSA test for screening for prostate cancer. Those numbers are staggering. Next slide, please. So I think that when you look at these mortality disparities, men have less access to and engage less with healthcare systems than their female counterparts do. Males are typically employed in more dangerous occupations, and they're raised with risk-taking and masculine social constructs, which I think that we need to start working on. And the time is now, really. We need to move forward on this, because this is the data. We have it now on paper. This is absolute data that we've gotten from various sources, and and now we have to come up with some solutions. Next slide.
This is the meeting number. This is the meeting number.
When we look across the United States, and actually I do this often, they took some of the slides out for my deck, but what I'll do is I'll Google men's health centers. And if you go across men's health centers in the state of Florida, you'll find about 30 or 40 web-related activities on there showing men's health centers. And the majority of these health centers on the internet or through Google are related to sexual health. I think that health is a little bit, and that's one of the things, one of our goals here at the University of Miami, to provide more complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Not merely the absence of disease and infirmity, and not focusing solely on sexual health. As a urologist, clearly, a lot of my interest is below the waist, but there's a lot more to it than that. And that's one thing that we have at the University of Miami, that this sense of collaboration and mission to work with others in a multidisciplinary approach to medicine. Next slide.
This is the password.
That's the meeting. Oh, the password?
Next slide.
No, that's enter your password. What do you need your?
So,
but this
one
is
of the
for
things I think
Zoom.
want to talk a little bit about is cancer screening. Again, men.
What is that?
Go to
RUSG?
cancer screenings as often as the female counterparts do. And I think that
Yeah,
the
but
data
I
is
don't know.
fairly clear right now.
But that's it. So you want to enter their Zoom, not Zoom down.
And the ones that we mentioned
You don't want to
today,
sign in.
they clearly say
No.
lives.
What do I want?
Next slide.
Just this.
This is what I'm doing.
This is basically
meeting.
the mortality rates associated with a variety of cancers
Yeah.
through the years and through the decades. And the top graph that we see up there is lung cancer incidence and death from lung cancer.
I'm
And
joining
that's
for your
gone down
browser.
tremendously since about 1990. 1990, we started doing CAT scans became available. Low-dose CTs, where low-dose CAT scans of the chest were available at that time. Cigarette smoking and tobacco abuse, they started to decline at that time. We've taken a tremendous number of actions against that would impact the number of cases of lung
That's our
cancer.
meeting, not his.
So when we talk about primary prevention, it's smoking cessation, earlier detection with low-dose CT,
This is
and more effective treatment options.
Change it to me.
Colorectal cancer since the late 1970s. I remember seeing this on Tony. I don't know if she was down here, not the reporter's name, but she basically went on and had her colonoscopy on TV. And basically that saved lives because men started realizing,
Katie
how,
Couric.
in fact, that colonoscopies can detect cancers earlier.